Welcome into Around the Felt, our Week 6 predictions. Joining me tonight is my handsome co-host here who does talk to girls, Reagan Loescher. Week 6,
Yeah.
hey, a lot of good games on the slate, brother. How you feeling?
Good. And yeah, he does know that for a fact. Colin's girlfriend I was just talking to her before we started the podcast. So it might be his girlfriend, but it still counts. My mom counts, my sister counts, cousin counts. It doesn't matter. Yeah, I do talk to the other species.
Oh boy,
But I'm
that's
doing
great to
great,
hear.
bro. I am
Really
doing
happy
great,
for
and
you.
I'll be doing even better if I, 3-4 hours from now, we're recording before the Yankees game, trying to squeeze it
Let's
in so we can
go.
watch
Come
that.
on, baby.
So I'll be doing even better if they get a big win tonight.
Big win. Let's go. We absolutely need it. Game 3 in Kansas City. But let's get into some football news here, Reagan. Aiden O'Connell named the starting quarterback for the Raiders this week. Minshew got benched during the game last week. They gave it to O'Connell. They're going to let him start again this week after Pierce said he wants to see competition in practice. Well, he named him on Wednesday, so not a lot of practice time. I guess they're going to go with the young buck here. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm fine with this. I mean, clearly it's not working out with Minshew. I mean, he had some big turnovers. I mean, if it wasn't for a Bowers heroic play, I mean, his yards would have been lower. He wouldn't even have had the touchdown. So it just really hasn't been what we saw with the Colts last year. And I mean, I think at this point, with the season kind of going downhill, you might as well see. I mean, O'Connell showed some flashes last year, so you wouldn't be doing your due diligence if you didn't give a young quarterback on a rookie deal his chance to see if there's anything there. And then you'll know for certain that like neither of these guys are the future here, and you go and draft someone next year. So, at least see what you have in-house first.
I agree. Minshew is just a Band-Aid for what the bigger issue is in Las Vegas, and I really hate their offense right now. I mean, Bowers has
Yeah.
been pretty much the lone bright spot, so I guess it's fine. Play the young guy, but let's be honest, neither one of them are the long-term solution here.
No. And you hope they trade Adams soon as well. They got to get him out of there. I mean, he just doesn't want to be there, and there's no reason to have him there.
Pierce did say he had a great conversation with Adams today, and he's always been a Raider, whatever the hell that means. But I don't know. We'll see what happens. I can't imagine Devontae's there for another couple weeks, and it's looking like he's also not going to play this weekend. Another wide receiver that's not going to play this weekend and for longer, Nico Collins placed on IR. Ooh, just a heartbreaker for a lot of fantasy football managers here.
Yeah.
It went from a day-to-day to week to on IR fairly quickly. Not ideal.
Yeah, no, not ideal at all, especially because you were like, taking your victory laps early on because through 5 weeks, he looked like not only a top 12 receiver, but potentially the best fantasy receiver on the season. I mean, he was off to a historic start. So it kind of sucks that it fell apart like it did. But you know what? Like, it is what it is. I mean, at least you'll have him back. It could be a lot worse. I mean, 4-game IR, let him heal up. And, you just got to stay afloat for the next couple weeks and get through your bye weeks. And if you are to make the playoffs, like, hey, at least you have Nico coming back and he's going to be locked and loaded number 1 for CJ Stroud. So just throw him on there. I wouldn't sell him if people try to, steal him from you, unless you're in win now mode and you started out slow and don't have a lot of wins and sell him. But if you're one of those teams that's, winning a lot of games in a good spot, hold them. Or if you're one of those teams that has a lot of wins and can afford to take a few losses, give up some guys and go and get Nico. I mean, he's only out 4 games, and we saw what he was before he went down.
Oh yeah, I mean when Nico's in there, you're fairly confident he's going to be a top 5 to 10 wide receiver that week. I mean, he just puts up crooked numbers week in and week out. Michael Pittman, also out multiple weeks, could be placed on IR.
Yeah.
For a Colts team that's struggling a little bit right now, they're hopefully going to get Richardson back. Not good, losing his top weapon.
Yeah, not good at all. I fully expect him to probably be put on the IR as well. And I mean, he's one that, most of his production he's done this year has come the past 2 weeks, and that was not with Richardson. So not ideal if you took him with that not second, but in that 3rd, 4th round. It's just not ideal. So, and yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, like we'll get into more later. I mean, Josh Downs is a guy I would definitely look into getting with Pittman missing time.
Yeah, Josh Downs, if he's on any waiver wires, has to be snatched up right now. In quarterback news, Spencer Rattler does get the nod this week for the Saints. The Rat Man gets the nod. What are your thoughts here on the Rat Man?
Well, I said it yesterday on the pod with the Dynasty. If he's in your Dynasty waivers, go scoop him up. Because if he is to ball out, he may keep the job for the rest of the season and into next year. I mean, the Saints are in cap hell, and I don't think they're bad enough that they'll be in a spot to draft the quarterback next year. So I don't know. This is his chance. This is why you took a shot on him late. Everyone knew there was a chance that he may get a chance towards later in the year if Carr was to struggle. And yeah, Carr's been struggling recently, and obviously now he's injured. So it's good that they're giving him the chance and to see if, a guy that was once a highly touted prospect and viewed as potentially the number one overall pick in the draft, who obviously fell, similar to the Sam Howell, where how he was once viewed as the top pick and then he slipped. So we'll see if he truly is the guy that we saw at Oklahoma and what a lot of these mock draft guys really thought he could be. So this is your chance, and he's just got to seize and capitalize the opportunity. I mean, he's got the weapons there in Kamara, Olave, and Shaheed. So, you can't say he doesn't have good weapons. He's got better weapons than Drake May has, who obviously we talked about yesterday is going to get a chance. So, and you can make a case that he's got better weapons than Jaden Daniels. So, sky's the limit.
Yeah. I'm not a big believer in Rattler long term, and this is definitely a tough matchup against Tampa Bay, divisional opponent that's been playing some good football recently. So I think the Saints will fall this week. We'll see what Rattler, if he can show any flashes and potentially give some hope long term for that Saints team. That you're right, they are in cap hill. That's just what they do. They just kick the can down the road continuously. They're only like 80 million over the cap next year. No big deal. They'll just push it back, push it back, push it back.
Yeah, and he'll certainly get his chance this week to throw the ball because everyone knows the Bucs. You beat them in the air, so they're going to take away Kamara in that run game, and it's going to fall on the shoulders of Rattler. So he'll definitely have his fair share. All right, so is that all we got for the news?
That's all we got for news. Let's bring in Big G with the questions.
G.
G.
In the middle. All right, G, what we got, fella? With the Yankees hat as well. I should put on mine.
All right. Shout out Yanks.
Shout out Yanks.
We'll start off with Austin. We'll keep it the same. Austin wants to know which player is going to have the biggest performance this week.
I got Jordan Mason. I think he's going to start the Thursday night football game out with a bang. Bold prediction, he may go for over 200 all-purpose yards. I think he's going to score twice, if not three times. I mean, we saw Seattle get gashed by the Giants last week. Tyrone Tracy looked like the real deal. Eric Gray was even getting his. And obviously, the week prior, I mean, Montgomery and Gibbs were getting theirs. So the Seattle defense has some injuries. I will say that, and it doesn't sound like Byron Murphy's going to play, but I just think Mason is primed for a big week. They're in a must-win game for San Francisco. I mean, you can't fall to 2-4. I get it, McCaffrey's out, but you still got some of your other weapons, Ayuk, Kittle, and Debo. So they're not going to stack the box. So I got Jordan Mason leading all fantasy players in fantasy points this week with a big week. I'm taking all of his overs for player props as well. Can't wait.
I'm going Malik Neighbors. I think MetLife Stadium Sunday Night Football. We're going to be hearing Leak on repeat against the Cincinnati defense. Reagan, you can't even deny it, bro. This Cincinnati defense is one you just want to target. They can't stop a nosebleed right now. This game.
I'm not denying it. I'm just rolling my eyes because you're a Giants fan. But it is a good play.
It has shootout potential with Joe Burrow firing on all cylinders right now. But also, so is Daniel Jones. He's playing really well, and he hit Slayton on a couple deep balls last week when Slayton was in that Neighbors role. And Slayton went for $120 and a touchdown. Now Malik is back, was second in the league in receiving yards before missing last week the concussion. He gets a boatload of targets. I expect 15 targets in this game, and he also has 3 touchdowns in 4 games. Give me Malik Neighbors.
Leak.
Hell yeah, Leak. Going forward, what team is going to have the biggest showing this week?
I don't know. I would love to say my Jets, but I'm not going to say that. I will go with, I'm going to go with the Titans here. I think that from that game against Miami, they were able to establish a lot with the running game. I think they kind of realized, hey, making Will Levis throw the ball 40 times a game is not the answer. Let's take a lot off of the young quarterback, and let's try to establish a run with Pollard and Spears and run it down their throat. They have a great defense, so I think they're going to make Anthony Richardson's life hell. I mean, especially now that we just said Pittman is going to miss time. He's out, so he's down another weapon. Jonathan Taylor may not play either. So I think this is a division game where it's, a big game for Tennessee here. And yeah, I think they may end up winning by double digits, and I think it's going to be on the back of this defense in the run game. And I think, Brian Callahan and his father, Bill Callahan, kind of realized, hey, let's play some good defense. Let's run the ball. Let's take a lot off of Will Levis's plate. Let's get back into this division race, and let's go push for a wild card.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Baltimore Ravens in this one. They are 6.5-point favorites, so it's not just that they're gonna win, it's how they're gonna win with all the hype that the Commanders are getting right now, and rightfully so with Jaden Daniels playing phenomenal football. But well, I think Lamar Jackson needs to remind everyone why he's the MVP of the league here in a battle of two young dual threat quarterbacks. And Baltimore coming off two big wins. They blew out Buffalo and then got a nice comeback win against Cincinnati and that close one in overtime. I think they have a lot of confidence right now and they blow the brakes off of the Commanders.
Love it.
All right. Caleb wants to know who we should start in fantasy this week: Tyler Conklin or Sam Laporta?
I think Laporta. I just think the fact that they're coming off of the bye week and they realize, like, hey, this guy was such a big impact player for us last year. I think they definitely went into the bye week and are looking at it like, hey, we need to find ways to get this kid more involved. Also, he's been dealing with some injury concerns early on, so I think that week off has done him a lot of favors. So I would go with him, especially with all the uncertainty with the Jets. I still think Conklin will be involved. It's just, and I'm not saying that at all. It's just, I don't know. I try to stay away from those like mid-tier, like tight end options. And well, obviously there's only one tight end option for the Jets, but like kind of those like Lazard, Williams. Like I wouldn't touch all of them right now because there's just
Conklin
so much
has no
uncertainty.
upside in receiving touchdowns either. He's never had one with us.
Yeah,
At least
well, that's a
before
good
you have
point
that.
too. But it's just so much uncertainty with all the firing and stuff. I would just stay away from all those guys where they're like, do I play him? Do I not? I'm just, outside of like Brees and Garrett Wilson, I wouldn't start any other Jet options. Even Braylon Allen, Mike Williams, Lazard, bench him. Just there's too much going on right now. We got to wait and see.
I'm same boat here. I like to stay away from the Jets offense. I mean, the guys that you drafted really highly, obviously he was playing Brees and Garrett Wilson, but Braylon Allen's shown flashes. I'm keeping him on the bench. I don't really want Mike Williams. Nah. Conklin. Nah. I'm staying away from this Jets offense until they start to consistently perform. Those second and third tier guys on their offense. You know what I mean? So I'd stay away from them right now.
Well, Devontae's coming, so you'll have to start him soon.
Hell yeah.
All right. Drock wants to know, is
What's up,
ETN
Drock?
going for 2 tutties this week?
I think ETN might be hitting the bench a lot more this week, dude. I mean, Bigsby is just hooked last week. I mean,
Oh, never mind. That wasn't even the question.
what do you say?
He said it's a redraft question. They were dynasty. He wants to know if you should trade ETN for 2 first-round picks.
Oh, you totally misread that. But he's saying that because I offered him 2 first-round picks week 2 for ETN, and he said, no, I'm not trading with you. You're an asshole. You ripped me off for Chris Godwin in a first earlier, like 2 years ago, and he still got PTSD from that. Well, one of those picks was his own back, which I own in this Dynasty League. And now Drock finds himself in last place of 12 teams in the league. So I'm sitting here like, Ashton Gentry is going to look really good in my lineup next year. I am not trading that pick straight up for ETN anymore with how Tank Bigsby has come into play in recent weeks.
Yeah, I mean, if somebody's willing to give it to you, sure, Drock. It'll be tough to fetch one right now. I don't know. I would just hold ETN for this year. I think if you were to trade him right now, you would be selling him at his floor. I mean, if he has a couple big games, and it's proven that, he's not losing the role to Bigsby, but also Bigsby's only 22. I don't know if people realize that. Like, he's so young. So, and ETN's a little bit on the older side. Obviously, he basically redshirted his first year in the NFL.
He's 25. He's still young.
So, no, it's still young. But, I mean, just Bigsby being 22, I don't think people realize how young he is still. Because, obviously, coming in at 21 is pretty rare into the league. So, I don't know. I would just hold him, wait and see how the next couple weeks go. I just think you'd be trading him at your floor right now. Like he's coming off of one of his worst weeks.
All right. He wants to know when the crew necks are going to be ready.
Oh, it's a great question, Drock. The fans
Great.
want to know. Well, us three right here, we are working with the company, hashing out the designs. The back is A-okay. We're working a little bit on the front, a little bit of the font and how we want it set up, and also the colors, So we will reach out to some of you guys. We're thinking about 4 different colors and which ones we want to snag. So in development, we'll speak to some of you guys and get some feedback, but we're almost there.
Yeah, drop a comment. What color would you want for your hoodie? What color would you want?
It's not a hoodie. It's a crew neck. Stop saying hoodie.
A crew neck.
There's no hood, bro. You can't say hoodie.
Even better. The hoodies were nice, but just wait. We got some heat dropping for you guys.
Hell yeah.
All right, are you guys ready? You know who's coming next.
Meatball.
Meatball.
All
right. Bear with me here. He goes, bold of you guys to keep assuming I'm a guy. Do you ever think I could be a chick? And the reason for all the girl questions for Reagan is I'm trying to see if he's single, and his busting his chops is my way of flirting.
Okay.
Interesting.
Well,
we
if
don't
you are
assume
a chick-
genders on this pod, so
yeah, I will say I am sorry. And Meatball, don't flirt with me, okay? You know, I don't like being flirted with. I'm not a piece of meat. Show me some respect. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry for assuming your gender. What's up, Miss Meatball? Or I guess I'm doing it again.
All right, we'll go back into it. He goes, psych. Drock is way more my type anyway. Sounds like I might be his too. Would love to get you guys on a Costco date with Drock and go full Lady and the Tramp on a chicken bake. And then he'll yell, boom, and yell, slam it. Slam me, Drock. God, I don't know what the fuck I just
all right,
did.
I mean, that's crazy. That's crazy talk. But, you know, I also have a Costco membership, so something else we have in common, Meatball.
Dude, wait, so are they saying psych that it's a girl, or are they saying psych
He's
that
saying
they're
psych
into me?
that, like, he doesn't like you. Drock's more of his type.
Yeah, psych
So
that
it's
it's
a
into
girl.
you. Yeah, psych that it's
I think
into
he
you.
assumed
I don't
Drock
know.
would be reading these
You
questions.
keep saying
a
he,
lot.
but is it a girl or
pleasing
I
for
don't know.
him.
Whatever.
We don't know, dude. We don't know the gender.
It's just a meatball.
right,
Well, that's
he
why we're hitting
actually-
the 6-leg parlay, so we know what meatball is.
Mr.
they just
Sheepball
identified as
actually did
meatball.
ask one real question. He goes, what player prop should I be on the lookout for in Sunday night's game, Giants or Bengals game? Also, if the Bengals drop this one, is their season fully broken?
Malik Neighbors over receiving yards, as mentioned earlier. Malik Neighbors to score in Big Dogs parlay. And if the Bengals lose and they're 1-5, yes, their season is cooked, and they might trade T. Higgins at the deadline. People aren't talking about that right now. They dropped to 1-5. What if T. Higgins goes to Kansas City?
Well, yeah, they dropped to 1-5. It's the season's still not over, but you know, it just gets harder and harder. And yeah, I mean, I think that's a good point. Like T. Higgins definitely could be traded at the deadline. Props I like. I mean, if Singletary's out, I would take Tracy to score in this one and is over in yards on the Bengals side of thing. Just take Chase, whatever his prop is. He's gonna have a ton of yards here. And you know, sneaky one, maybe Gesicki receptions. I mean, obviously McKinney. We didn't even talk about it in the recap. He left. He joined the Packers, and you know, he just happens to have an interception in every game to start this season.
Yeah,
5 picks already. So he's been balling out there, and they have not filled the role at that safety spot. So I think Gesicki could be an interesting play in this for fantasy, but also for props. I think his yards and receptions are definitely in play here.
All right, Meatball also has a punishment idea for us, or segment. He says Drock should make up 10 trivia questions about himself, favorite foods, birthday, etc. The loser must answer them correctly. Each time they get one wrong, they must eat a glizzy or take a shot, or something like that.
love it. Let's do it this week. It'll be our punishment for this week. We'll play around with the details, but let's rock with that this week.
Yeah, we'll have to figure out which game, but yeah, I like that. Yeah, we'll talk about the details later and we'll hash it out. But I actually think that's a great idea, Meatball. And then I hope that you get to the point where you and Drock could do, no punishment involved and go to Costco and just play 20 questions with each other, I guess. But that's a great idea. I think we'll do that one. And I think that's good. And that's one we can do with us being, over StreamYard or Zoom or whatever you want to call it.
Yep.
We'll just have to figure it out because I don't know if I'm trying to get bombed during the week.
Yeah, we'll hatch out the details.
But I don't actually. What does it matter? You would be getting bombed.
There's another question from Drock as well.
Wow.
He's got a betting question for you fellas. All right. He says the betting public, 51% of tickets are 28-46-2. 20 wins, 46 losses against the spread this season, with a $100 better down $2,056. The worst start for the betting public through the 4 weeks in the last 20 years.
Wow.
So fade the public.
I mean, yeah, right now it's working out, but I will say with all those stats and shit like that with Vegas, it's always going to regress to the mean. So you just don't want to hop in too late when it starts regressing towards the mean.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. That's interesting. I didn't know that. So that's a nice wrinkle. I mean, regardless, I'm probably always going to be on the wrong side because if I was on the right side, probably wouldn't be here, you know? Like if we were good gamblers, or even semi-good gamblers, you know? But let's see, you know? Actually, you hit the big dog parlays, but this is straight up. I mean, we've been pretty even on the year. I know we went over the
Yeah.
records. We're both 500 or better on spread and straight up so far. So we'll see. We shall see.
See, we're not the only ones losing. The wheel's been losing, but so is the public. So
Yeah, so it evens out.
we're gonna regress to the mean, like he said.
We'll regress to the mean. Let's do it.
Dave's punishment idea is loser has to buy a table at Common Ground.
What's that?
That's where we went for my birthday. So yeah, that's a couple $1,000 tab.
So that just
All right.
sounds like a big loss for us, but it also sounds like
Speak
Drock
the
would
rest
be
of
a
the
winner.
crew.
It sounds like a great time though.
Sounds like a win for Drock. A win-win regardless for Drock.
Oh yeah, it's a win for Drock.
You should add him as the third for it.
Yeah, if there's a push, Drock has to do it.
There we go. Is that all we got for questions?
That's all we got.
All right, G. Well, thanks for joining us, and we're gonna move on then to our predictions.
All right, Reagan, let's get into the games this week. Starting us off, a divisional matchup on Thursday Night Football. The Seahawks are dogs at home. Niners 3.5-point favorites here. The over/under 48.5. Those frauds, will they be fraudulent again this week?
That is the real question.
And what's your answer?
And my answer is yes, they will be fraudulent again. I am rocking with the 49ers. I'm taking the points here. They're going to cover. They're going to win. It's just going to be a blowout. I don't care if they're on the road. I'm expecting big things from them this week.
Yeah, I'm really curious to see if Seattle can get back some of these guys up front for this matchup. It'll be huge for them after Tyrone Tracy and the Giants just gashed him on the ground. Jordan Mason in this running game for the Niners is probably on a different level at this point with Shanahan's scheme. So we don't know that yet. A lot of guys might come down to the wire, but that could be a big factor in this game. However, it doesn't matter to me. I'm still going San Francisco to win and cover here. It's just tough to back Seattle, given what we've seen the past couple weeks and even the few weeks prior to start the season, the level of competition that they had and really not blowing teams out and playing some tight games. And I think San Francisco knows they're in an unfamiliar spot right now, sitting at 2-3. And they know they just dropped the divisional game last week and they need to bounce back on a short week. So I think San Francisco has its way with the Seattle defense, and they win by a touchdown here. Not a blowout, but they win by a touchdown.
I feel like it's going to be a blowout. I find it hard to believe that San Francisco loses here. I can't see them going to 2-4. I mean, I know they have some injuries still, but I mean, you still got most of your weapons outside of McCaffrey on offense. So I do think it's going to be a big Jordan Mason game. I mean, we saw what the Giants backfield of the combination of Eric Gray and Tyrone Tracy were able to do last week. So I think, Jordan Mason should have over 100 yards for sure and be pushing 200 all-purpose yards with 2 scores. I think a major game. He actually may end up being the number 1 fantasy player this week, like I said earlier.
You're calling 2 Benjis for total yardage for Mason.
Yeah, I think he might not get there, but he's going to be damn near close. I think he's going to really piece up and gash up this defense. I mean, we saw what, a rookie Tyrone Tracy in his basically first time getting a significant role was able to do to them last week. So, and I don't believe Byron Murphy's going to play this week on the short week. So,
damn, that's a bold call out, my friends, but I like it. We're both on the Niners here. The Jags are at the Bears in the London game this week. It's the Jaguars' second home. However, they are underdogs, 2.5-point underdogs, as a matter of fact, on the neutral site field. The over/under 44.5. I know you like to take the Jags when they're in London, Reagan. Is that more so on the week 2, or you're still taking them here week 1 in London for them?
I'm taking them both weeks because they got New England next week, so I have confidence there. But they showed a lot last week. I mean, they obviously, their defense didn't show shit, but their offense definitely woke up last week. I mean, they had a great week. So, but the fact that they're just used to playing in London, and they do have a lot of fans out there. Like, yeah, it might be a neutral site game, but there's going to be a lot of Jaguar fans out there. They're very popular out there. So I think 2.5, I'll take it. And yeah, I'd like to see Bigsby continue to get more involved after last week as well. And I believe Evan Ingram may be back this week, so I think that would be good as well, getting him back in the fold of things. I mean, obviously Brian Thomas has continued to be unlocked, but the defense has just got to step up. I mean, Caleb Williams is a guy that seems to be improving every week on the Bears side of things, but you can't let him improve here. You got to make him struggle, make it difficult for the rookie. You can't let him piece you apart like Joe Flacco, the veteran, was able to do last week.
Well, I got bad news for you, my friend, because I'm taking the Bears here, and Caleb Williams is going to light up this secondary. This is just a juicy matchup for the Rook that gets better and better with each week, and he's cooking right now. The Jaguars have allowed the most passing yards per game in the league thus far, and I understand the London advantage for Jags fans. They're kind of like London's team at this point, but I still think it's a bad matchup here for them. It's an elite Chicago secondary. However, they are more susceptible on the ground, so I do think Tank Bigsby continues his hot streak, but ultimately it's not enough in the end. I think it's going to be a 23-16 type of game. Chicago gets the win here, and I just love the momentum that they have going right now, and I think they're really building confidence and starting to build something, and that whole team kind of has trust in Caleb right now to lead the charge.
I mean, I feel very confident in the Jags. If you want to make this our big bet of the week, I'm down.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Yeah. All right, so let's do the one that Meatball said earlier, our good buddy. You know, he was saying, or she, whatever. I don't know. We don't know the gender,
We
but
don't know.
whatever
We don't assume
Meatball,
genders in this pod.
yeah, whatever Meatball identifies as. They came up with a punishment of you got to answer 10 questions from Drock. So I don't know if we'll do that exactly, but I like the concept of you got to answer 10 questions, and then for everyone you get wrong, you have to either eat some type of item or take a shot of something. So we'll hash out the details on that, but I think that could be good for a punishment.
Yeah, I like it. Thanks,
What do you
Meatball.
think? Would you rather do a food item, or would you rather do a shot of something?
I mean, we can do a food item. It's just we got to figure out what's better for a video. You know what I mean? What we make better on social media.
Yeah, because odds are we're not going to be together, so it would be over stream, which is fine. Um, you know, but if it's shots, I'd rather do it on the weekend.
Yeah,
You know,
we're not doing shots on a Tuesday. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah, that'll be a nice wake up call the next day. But
Yeah,
you know,
for our side hustles.
we haven't done a drinking one in a while, so
It can be in play. It could certainly be in play. We'll hash it out. But
yeah.
let's move on to Arizona at Green Bay. The Packers 5-point favorites. The over under 49.5. Who you siding with?
I took Green Bay to win and cover here. Jordan Love's just going to continue to get it more and more healthy. I mean, even with obviously Watson missing time, obviously Dobbs was out last week. I mean, they just have so much depth. We saw he was able to unlock Tucker Kraft the past 2 weeks, so I love that. Obviously, Jaden Reed's been a stud. Josh Jacobs is starting to get going. So this Green Bay offense is starting to come into its own. So I like what I saw. And on the defensive side of things, I mean, last week you held the banged up Rams team to 19. You'd like to see them hold them the less, but I mean, this defense has been getting better. But I'm going to take Green Bay at home here to cover the 5. It's such a weird line. Like 5 points it's an
a
ugly
very weird
spread.
line.
But
Vegas knows. Someone's going to miss an extra point and make it a little quirky here.
Yeah. So, but I'm rocking with Green Bay here. I think it'll be close though. I think I could see Green Bay winning by a touchdown.
I'm going to go with Green Bay to win, but Arizona to cover. One thing I'm taking note on in this game is Jordan Love and his ball security has had several interceptions the last couple games. So I want to see him take care of the football better because this offense will put up 30-plus points in this Arizona defense if he's able to do so. And this Arizona run defense is the 5th worst in football so far. So Jacobs punched it in last week. I'm looking for him to do it again this week and to have another solid game on the ground, which he has done for the majority of the season. I don't believe he's eclipsed 100 yet, but he's been up there close several times. And I do think it'll be a close game. So I do have Arizona covering. I like their offense enough to keep it close, but ultimately Green Bay is just much better in the trenches here, where I think they're going to take over the game and kind of control it towards the end. And they're going to win. But Arizona's going to cover.
We'll see, pal. We shall see, pal. You're giving a lot of confidence to that Arizona defense.
Colts 1-point favorites on the road at the Tennessee Titans. The over under 42.5. This was a tough one for me, brother. Curious to see where you're at.
Not for me. I took Tennessee here. The fact that it's a division game always means it's going to be close, but kind of similar to the NFC South. I typically like to go with the team at home, especially when you're getting a point. You're going to give me a point at home. They're also coming off of a bye, so they've had a full 2 weeks to prepare. But I really do feel like Tennessee was able to figure out a lot, not only defensively, but with their running game. I mean, Mason Rudolph stepped in. He's not going to be the quarterback. It's Will Levis. But I think they kind of realized, like, we should run the ball more. Like, take a little bit off of Will Levis' shoulders. I mean, Pollard looked good. and Spears was a good complement. So I think if they're able to establish the run early, play some good defense, which I've been very impressed with their defense this year. I think Tennessee's got a very underrated defense. I don't think they get enough respect. I think they're going to make things tough for Richardson. And this take is barring Richardson playing. Now, if Flacco is to play, I'm actually on the Colts. And that's the funny thing. But I just think it just speaks to how young Richardson still is and, how a veteran good defense is going to make it difficult. So if Flacco plays, I will take the Colts, whatever the spread is. If it's Richardson, I will take the Titans, whatever the spread and money line is. So I just want to put that out there.
Yeah, I'm on a very type of similar trajectory here. So I'm going with the Colts right now. And I'm going with the Colts if Jonathan Taylor plays. The Tennessee passing defense has been amongst one of the best in football thus far, adding Awuzie and L'Jarius Sneed. So they've been locked down here. So if Richardson's in the lineup, I really don't trust him in this passing attack to get the job, especially for a Colts defense that is just really bad. They're the worst again. So you mentioned the run for Tennessee and how they got to lean into that here. Because Levis is the one turning the ball over for this offense and really putting them in difficult positions. So for me, I'm going with the Colts. But if it's a combination of Trey Sermon and Richardson, I really hate this matchup for the Colts. Well, I really do hate it. Because I think if they're going to win, it's going to be Jonathan Taylor and Richardson using their legs, not through the air.
Well, and we talked about it earlier. I mean, Michael Pittman, they just came out and said he's a candidate. He's going to miss some time, multiple weeks, and he may go on IR. So that's another big blow. But Josh Downs with Flacco, a guy you've been hyping up a lot. I mean, he is a must pick up for fantasy, regardless of quarterback. But I would go pick up Downs. And I mean, if you get a start with Flacco, that's awesome because clearly they have a rapport. But, if you can get the wide receiver one for any team, I mean, they shouldn't be on waivers. I mean, yeah, I don't know if I'd play him this week if Richardson's the quarterback, but he definitely should be picked up for sure with this news.
Yeah, and what's weird with Downs is he was slow with Richardson, and then Flacco came in and he started balling out. But
all the options were. I mean, Pittman's been much better the past 2 weeks with Flacco. I mean, the only one that's really been good with Richardson is Alec Pierce, and it's not like he's getting high volume. It's just, they're connecting on the deep bomb, and that's really saving his week.
Yeah, and absolutely.
I still don't think you would play him with confidence regardless.
But word coming out of Colts camp preseason-wise was that Josh Downs was Richardson's favorite target. So then there's the question, why weren't they connecting early on? I don't know. It's if you're going to start Josh Downs, which I might because I have a lot of injuries at wide receiver in one of my leagues, and Josh Downs was really clutch for me last week getting a win. It's definitely risky. Like, you got to let your balls hang a little bit, So yeah, I don't know what I'm doing. This is a really tough game. It really depends on the health of the Colts and who's in the lineup for me because I don't believe in Tennessee really at all, particularly offensively. But it just seems like a bad matchup for the Colts, especially on the road if they don't have their horse and Jonathan Taylor back there.
Yeah.
Next, Houston, 7-point favorites on the road at New England in Drake May's first start for the Patriots. The over-under 38.5, a low total. Even with that Houston offense, man, that's a really low total. But no Nico Collins being placed on IR, as we mentioned earlier, out 4 weeks. A huge blow for that offense. They still got Diggs. They got Tank. Maybe Mixon's back, but still a 7-point spread on the road here. That's pretty big, Reagan. Do you believe in the rookie to cover?
I do believe in the rookie to cover. I think it's going to end up being like a close game. It may even be a backdoor cover at the end, but I just think this game's going to be really low scoring and ugly. I think the Patriots defense is good enough to make things difficult for still young CJ Stroud without his top option. I honestly, obviously Gonzalez probably won't shout out Diggs because he plays a lot in the slot, but I do like the Patriots secondary enough to make things difficult here. And I'm excited for May because, we haven't seen a lot from Brissett that gives you any confidence. But, May's obviously way more dynamic for him. So I would think he'll be able to push the ball downfield more, get some of those wide receiver options more involved. And, I think this is a good spot for Stevenson. I mean, you got to play him. We'll see. I mean, you can't bench him, and nor should you. But, that's another big thing. They're going to have to get him involved early so they give him his 15, 20 carries a game where, you can run the ball down their throat, chew some clock, and play some good defense. But yeah, I got like the Texans in this one. Maybe we'll go with like 17-13.
Yeah, I got Houston. A similar game script. I do have them winning by 10 here. So I do have them covering. But I think it's going to be a game in which Drake May struggles but the Houston offense is also really sluggish here. And they ultimately get it done in the fourth quarter to win by 2 scores. But I don't know. It's just a really tough draw for Drake May in his first start. I like that he's at home, but Houston's allowed the 3rd least passing yards per game thus far this season. Their secondary's been balling out. So really, it's tough to back a rookie in this spot to win. And I mean, even to cover the 7. And I don't care that Nico Collins is out. I know he's the best playmaker on that offense.
Yeah.
But for a team like Houston, who has Super Bowl aspirations, this is a game you gotta win. Like you have to, right? And
Yeah.
I think they understand that. So
I mean, they're
for
pulling
me,
away in the division too here. I mean, well, they already have been pulling away significantly, but you know, obviously, they're 4-1, and the next closest one is the Colts at 2-3, who they've already beaten this year. So they are pulling away fast, and you can't be losing this one. Especially if the Colts are able to win, then they're a game back. But we're both alive in Survivor. I stayed away from this one. I don't like taking big spreads, especially when on the road. I don't know. This seemed a little trappy to me. So I was like, you know what? I'm not touching it. I ended up opting to go with the Eagles, which I'm still not super confident in.
oh, that's funny because I also took the Eagles.
Wow. What is that, 3 weeks in a row?
We
we've been
didn't
on the
talk
same
about
team?
it 3 weeks in a row. We haven't talked
That's
about it. We
funny.
just took the same teams. But
Yeah.
I agree with you. That's also one of the golden rules of Survivor, especially early on, is when you have a lot of teams available, you're supposed to take teams that are at home. Like, it gets
Yeah.
more risky because, I mean, last week we took Green Bay on the road, but it was the beat-up Rams. But still, that was a close
And it
game.
was also, we
didn't
didn't have a lot of options.
Yeah, we
and
didn't
I
have a lot. We
any.
couldn't use the Niners, and the Niners lost. Ended up burning some people.
Yeah. Yeah. We burned them the week before, and I didn't have confidence in Seattle. So, I have more confidence in Philly at home. And also, I don't necessarily want to burn the Texans, but I don't know. I just have a really, I got like a knot in my tum-tum. It just, I don't know. Sneaky upset. Paul Keller, sneaky upset here, buddy. If you're listening, sneaky upset.
This could be a sneaky upset. Drake May just reignites the New England fan base with an upset win over CJ Stroud in Houston.
We saw what they did to the Bengals week 1. I mean, but then again, was that sneaky even upset? I don't know. The Bengals may just suck.
Bengals might just not be good. All right, let's move on. Another rookie quarterback getting his first start. The Bucs are 3.5-point favorites on the road at New Orleans. Spencer Rattler, the starting quarterback. The over-under 41.5. Are you going to back this rookie to cover?
I am not. I did take Tampa Bay here, and I was tempted to take them in Survivor, but the Saints defense is so good at home. And also with it being a division game, I'm like, even with Rattler playing, I was like, it's just too risky for me. And I know the Bucs offense has been like on fire. Like they should have won that game last week, honestly. Like they blew that game against the Falcons.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I do think they win here handedly, but it's just a little too risky for me with how good we see the Saints defense play at home. And, I don't know. I just don't want to take a division game, even with Rattler, but like, I don't know. And it's kind of going against it because obviously I just was saying like I think May can get an upset win versus like Rattler, but there's a big difference there. One guy was drafted 3rd overall, the other guy was drafted in the 5th, 6th round.
6th round.
So
different process for sure.
But yeah, I went with the Bucs here. I mean, and also like the Bucs style of defense bodes well for them in this matchup because you're basically saying, you still there? Hello?
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, I don't know. It like cut out on my screen for a little bit. But the Bucs style, you're basically saying, Spencer Rattler, go beat me. I mean, it's not going to be a big Kamara game on the ground. As a receiver, I'm sure he'll get his, but on the ground, the Saints are not going to be able to run the ball. So you're basically saying, Spencer Rattler, can you beat us? I don't think he can, but I also just think this is going to be low scoring. I really do.
I'm also going to take Tampa in a low score matchup. You mentioned that Saints defense at home. Usually they play really tough there, but Baker Mayfield, even in that loss to Atlanta, just a heartbreaker divisional matchup. Now they get another divisional matchup here. Just a really important game for Tampa Bay in the division for the tiebreakers down at the end of the season. And I'm going to put my faith in Baker Mayfield, who's been balling out all season, over Spencer Rattler, who, I mean, he was projected to be a top pick in the draft a couple years ago and slid all the way down there for obvious reasons for his performance in college and kind of the attitude concerns. But, I just think Kamara will get his. I think Rattler's going to check down to him a lot, but I don't think the Saints offense has the firepower needed to keep up with the Bucs here with Rattler at the helm. So I'm going to go with the Bucs to win and cover here.
You ain't rocking with the Rat Man?
No,
Rat
I
Man.
am not rocking with the Rat Man. Cleveland
Man.
at Philadelphia. Eagles 9-point favorites coming off their bye week. The over-under 43.5. You said you're taking Philly in Survivor. Are you confident enough for them to cover the 9 points, the fattest spread on the docket?
Yeah, actually, I do think they get the win, but I did take Cleveland to cover here just because Philly hasn't proven us yet this year that they can win like a game in a blowout. Like it seems like all their games this year have been very close. So it's just a lot of points. Like I do think they get it done. You've had 2 weeks to prepare, and not the Bengals. The Browns are kind of limping into this matchup. But I mean, it's not like the Eagles have looked great, and all their matchups this year outside of the Bucks have been decided by one score, and then the Bucks blew them out. So it just doesn't give me a lot of confidence that this Eagles team is as dominant as they used to be. I mean, it helps. AJ Brown and Devontae Smith will play, so that's another reason why I'm taking it. But I don't know. I just, it's just a lot of points for a team that hasn't really shown yet that they can cover a fat spread like that. So I'm taking the Browns. It probably will bite me in the ass, but even if it does, I'm okay with it because it's like, hey, the Eagles won then. So,
There you go. Still alive in Survivor. I'm going with the Eagles to win and cover here. The Commanders just beat this Browns team by 28. Eagles are off a bye week, and they're at home. I think this should just be a bloodbath against a team that's just a shell of its former self. Deshaun Watson looks defeated, and now this defensive staff for Philly has had 2 weeks to prepare for him. So I think it's going to be another day of Deshaun Watson riding the struggle bus, and this defense should eat against this Cleveland offense.
Yeah.
And I have leg number 1 for you for Big Dogs Parlay this week. It's the snake. It's Saquon Barkley. Cleveland is the
What do you mean the
eighth.
snake? What do you mean snake?
Saquon Barkley. Cleveland is the 8th worst team against the run thus far this year. This Philadelphia offense has ran through Barkley the entire season, and he's also fresh, coming off a bye this early on. They're at home. Cleveland's just a bad team. It's a bad matchup for them. Saquon Barkley, leg number 1 in Big Dogs Parlay this week.
Yeah, and I will say to add to your point, I mean, he had 10 carries last week, so I think 2 weeks ago. So I think they kind of are going to realize here and be like, hey, like the recipe for us winning is getting this guy the ball at least 20 times, on the ground,
Absolutely.
not even counting what you're going to add in the passing game. So clearly, I think they're going to make a conscious effort from the bye week, and obviously, like Jalen Hurts has been struggling a ton this year and a lot of last year. Like he's not the same guy we saw 2 years ago.
He's
But I
not.
also don't think that's the recipe to make him drop back like 40 times a game. I'd rather see him throw the ball 25 to like 35 times a game and get more carries. Like I'd like to see them involve him with the legs because the Eagles at their scariest seem to be running the ball first, the run first team. And that was the format of that team that made the Super Bowl. So they just got to get back to that ways. Like I know you got all the weapons with AJ Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert, and even Saquon in the passing game, but you just got to get back to the ground and pound days and run the clock, play some good defense, and also will protect the defensive issues. I mean, if you're, throwing the ball so many times a game and a lot of incompletions, stopping the clock, and Hurts is having turnover issues. I mean, the best way to run the clock and protect that defense is by running the ball. So
I agree wholeheartedly. Eagles going to get the job done. Barkley's going to punch it in. Let's move on to the Commanders at the Ravens. One of the best games of the week with 2 young star dual threat quarterbacks. The Ravens are 6.5-point favorites. The over-under very high at 52.5. Are you rocking with the Rook?
I am rocking with the Rook to cover. Baltimore will win. I mean, both teams, you could make a case, are the hottest team in football right now. But I'm done doubting the Commanders. Like they're legit. I think at this point, it's safe to say. Well, it's so many free things can happen. But at this moment in time, I feel very confident in saying this is going to be a playoff team. Obviously, it is the battle of like the greater DC. What is the acronym for that? It's like
the greater DC area. It's I know what you're talking about, but I don't know the acronym.
I mean, I'm not like we're not
the
geologists.
DMV.
Yeah, DMV. Yes. So the decent Maryland, whatever the fuck it's called. I don't know.
Delaware, not decent. Isn't it Delaware, Maryland, Virginia?
I'm sure any of you listening that are from down there and just like freaking out right now, like these guys are idiots. But regardless, I mean, I think Washington will travel well in this game. I don't think it's going to be a sold out Baltimore crowd here with it being like so close. And, Commanders fans, they finally have hope, something they haven't had in a long time. So I think there will be a lot of support there. It's going to be loud. it's going to be Jaden Daniels' biggest test so far. But I think at the end of the day, with the 6.5, it just screams backdoor cover to me. And also, we've seen Baltimore in the Raiders game alone and a lot last year. Like they might get off to a big start, but I think they're going to collapse in the second half and allow the Commanders to get back into this game, making it close. I do think they get it done ultimately, but I think it'll be similar to a lot of the Ravens games we've seen before where, they're up 2 scores at halftime. They're up 14, maybe they're up 21-7. And then all of a sudden, they take their foot off the gas pedal a little bit, allow them back in the game. And, it takes some Justin Tucker late heroics with some kicks at the end of the game to put it away. But I don't know, 6.5's a lot for me, but I do have the Ravens winning here.
I got Ravens winning and covering here in a blowout over the Commanders.
Wow.
I think it's a bad matchup for the Commanders. The Ravens have the best run defense in football. So I think the Commanders' offense is going to come back down to earth a little bit here. It's certainly going to be a rowdy atmosphere. You're not wrong there. And this is certainly the biggest test for this Commanders team thus far. Not even close, I don't think. Particularly what Jaden Daniels is going to see and the talent that's on that Baltimore defense. But I think Lamar Jackson is going to come out firing in this game. We've seen the last 2 weeks. They can beat you on the ground, in which he barely completed any passes, or what he did last week, throwing for over 300 yards and really connecting with Zay Flowers. So just the diversity of this Ravens offense, I love it. And second leg of Big Dog's parlay is Lamar Jackson. All this talk of Jaden Daniels, the young rookie phenom, doing it with his legs. No. Lamar Jackson's going to show everyone why he is the reigning MVP. He scored twice already this season. This Baltimore offense is firing on all cylinders. They've been scorching hot. Lamar Jackson, leg number 2 in Big Dog's parlay.
Cool.
Next, the Chargers, 3-point favorites on the road at the Denver Broncos. The over-under very low at 35.5. Chargers coming off a bye. Denver coming off a nice win against the Raiders. You back in Harbaugh? You back in Pierce?
I'm back in Harbaugh here. I mean, it's going to be low scoring. It's going to be ugly, but, the linemen will be healthy. For the Chargers, Herbert's going to be more healthy than he was, with the ankle, with all that going on. But I just think it's going to be too big of a tough test here. I think it's going to be low scoring, but at the end of the day, it comes down to, we know both defenses are going to be good. Both teams rather run the ball than put it in their quarterback's hands, regardless of what you agree. Like, obviously, Justin Herbert's a stud, but that's just not the kind of style they want to do. But it comes down to, who do I trust at the end of the game? And that's Justin Herbert. And, this Denver team may be exceeding expectations a little bit, but I don't think it matters. Like, yeah, you can play great defense, but do I have any confidence in Bo Nix to put up some big points? Outside of last week against the Raiders, he hasn't really shown that he can. I mean, against the Jets, it was ugly. I mean, against the Bucs, the offense was able to do some stuff, but still, it's not like the offense has shown me enough yet to have a ton of confidence here. And I don't know. I just feel like you're asking the defense a lot. And I think they're due for kind of a dud on the defensive side of things. So I don't know. Maybe 20-7 Chargers here.
Yeah, I'm going to take Denver here, actually. And I do agree with your point that game on the line, who you trust more, Justin Herbert or Bo Nix? No doubt in my mind, it's Justin Herbert. But I just really like how this Denver defense is playing right now. Towards the top of the league. Secondary has been locked down. Pass Surtain's that dude. It's certainly going to be a game in which both teams are going to focus on their running game. Javonte's starting to find his stride a little bit. So I have a decent amount of confidence in Denver's offense to at least put up 17 to 20 points. And I think that's all you're going to need to win this game here. Chargers are coming off a bye. They do have the better quarterback. I get it. But it's a divisional matchup.
He gets
it. And Denver's getting 3 at home, coming off a nice win. The vibes are high. Bo Nix is getting a little bit better. I mean, I understand it was the Raiders, and this is definitely a tougher test, but I don't know. Give me the home dogs here in a divisional matchup. The Denver Broncos.
Fair. Yeah. No, I just think they're due for a stinker, but also like the fact that the Chargers had the bye week kind of the perfect time for them as well. I don't know. If the Chargers weren't coming off of a bye, maybe I'd be on the Broncos side, but give them that full week of rest and also to prepare for rookie quarterback. I don't know, but then again, there's not a lot of tape. But no, I'm going Chargers here. I ain't overthinking it.
Yeah, now I kind of want to go Chargers coming off a bye, but I'm gonna stick to my guns with the Denver
Stick
Broncos.
to your guns. Gotta trust your
Steelers,
gut.
3-point favorites on the road at the Raiders. The over-under 36.5, another very low total. There's no way you're backing the Raiders here with Aiden O'Connell at the helm.
No. I am taking the Steelers here with full confidence. The defense is great. We saw what a rookie Bo Nix was able to do to this Raiders defense last week. So I think Justin Fields will have no problem. I think there's a good spot for Najee. I think this is where he may score his first touchdown. I wouldn't throw that in the big dog parlay. That's a little rich.
Absolutely not. No
But,
way.
No
way.
I think this will be a good game for some of those Pittsburgh offensive weapons. And I just think the wheels are falling off for the Raiders. The season is going downhill fast. You're making the move to O'Connell. That's great. But, he doesn't have Devontae Adams. As great as Brock Bowers has looked, that's awesome. He's got Jacoby Myers. Trey Tucker seems to be a legit option there and kind of coming into his own. But, I don't know. Zamir White has flopped completely. Christian Wilkins obviously out. So, even like some of their strongest points on defense are missing time. It's just, I don't know, the wheels are falling off here, and I just think it's going to be tough. So I'm rocking with the Steelers here. And this also just screams like ugly, low-scoring Steelers game where the defense gets it done. They just play their brand of football. The offense just game manages, doesn't screw it over, and the defense just is gritty and just makes Aiden O'Connell's life hell. So I'll take them to cover the 3 and win here.
I agree with you 100% across the board. This is going to be a stereotypical Steelers game, which it was last week against Dallas until Dallas ultimately ended up on top with the 4th and goal conversion to win the game. I see a similar style here for Pittsburgh. I see a 16-3 or a 20-10 type of game. They're going to take care of the football. Fields is going to do enough with his legs to convert some third downs. They're going to feed Najee probably 15 to 20 times, although his yards per carry won't be great. It's going to get the job done to keep their defense fresh. And this Pittsburgh defense is going to feast on Aiden O'Connell. I believe there's going to be a defensive touchdown here scored for Pittsburgh. And they're going to score more points than the Raiders' entire offense does in this game. I just don't believe in Aiden O'Connell. I don't believe in all the tension in that locker room. I don't believe in the injuries. I didn't believe in this defense even to begin with before losing Christian Wilkins. I just have a really difficult time backing the Raiders at any point, particularly this week against a bad matchup against this Pittsburgh defense. Detroit, 3.5-point favorites at the Dallas Cowboys. You over under 52.5. You backing the boys again?
I am backing the boys again. I know
you might be
Detroit.
A low-key Cowboys fan, dude. You might be like closet Cowboys fan. You love taking the Cowboys every week.
I like the Cowboys. I do because they're fucking good in the regular season. Like even with all, they're just you don't want to fade Dallas in the regular season. I get playoff time, like they choke, but in the regular season they just win games. And I know this is a tough test, and this is probably one they'll lose because it's like, all right, you're not playing a scrub team anymore. Like, this is a legit team, and Detroit
always
is
beat
coming
up on the scrubs. They always do.
And
they lose the good teams though.
And Detroit is the last thing, or the farthest thing from being scrubs. But that defense of Detroit did not look good against Seattle. You let them cook you. Geno Smith was just having his way. It just seemed like, if the offense if the offense didn't keep scoring, they were going to lose that game. They were just lucky that Seattle's defense was worse than theirs. But for all the promise and hope we had coming into the season with Detroit's defense, clearly they still have issues in the secondary. So I think Dak Prescott's going to pick them apart. I think CeeDee's going to have a good game. Jalen Tolbert, a guy we were talking about last pod, pick him up in fantasy. Brandon Cooks is on the IR for 4 games. Tolbert's been heavily involved, and he's becoming that number 2 option for Dak. So love him here. Ferguson, great start. And obviously Dowdle's taken over. So I think he'll have a good game here. Hopefully Parsons and Lawrence play. I'm predicting that they will be playing, obviously, and I'm sure this line's reflecting them playing.
Lawrence is on IR. He's out.
Well, Parsons is going to play, though, right? You would think he has to.
I don't know if he's playing.
I freaking hope. You would think the line's reflecting it, right? Like, I feel like Detroit would be a bigger favorite at this. Because that's the tough thing about recording on a Wednesday. It's such a gray area with some of these spreads because obviously, like, something like that's like a 2-point swing at least.
Parsons did not practice today.
But you would think the 3.5 is reflecting him playing. So you would imagine the line will probably balloon up to almost 5 if he's out.
But, what you're saying right now would say to take Detroit now because Dallas has a bye next week. So it probably makes sense for them to sit him this week and give him a bye.
It
and come
does.
Back 8.
But my only kickback on that is these are two teams that will most likely be in the playoffs. So
It's a huge game. Yeah, it's a
seeding-wise,
huge game. I get
for
it. Yeah.
seeding down the road, it's like, yeah, we have a bye, but it's not like you're playing a scrub team. Like you're playing a team that if you lose this, it may come down that now not only did you lose this, but they have the head-to-head to you against you in seeding. Or with the NFC, a couple surprise teams like the Commanders and some of those other teams, and like obviously the Vikings. Like if the Vikings and Eagles or Vikings and Commanders go win the divisions, like these teams might be fighting for the wild card spot. So if one of them loses, like they may end up getting bounced and one of them could miss, because there's a couple surprise teams that we did not expect to be this good. And it's completely changed.
Yeah, I agree
So-
with you on that. I'm taking Detroit, and that is assuming there's no Parsons in the lineup. Now, if Parsons is in the lineup, I'm also still taking Detroit. I think this is a great matchup for him. Dallas is bottom 10 in rush yards per game. Detroit has the strongest offensive line in football. Just keep doing what you've been doing. Montgomery and Gibbs all day down your throat. And when you need to connect on Jameson Williams on a deep ball, you need to find Amon-Ra to move the sticks. That's what you do. Just stick to that formula. And I think it's going to work out really well here for him. And I have leg number 3 in Big Dogs Parlay. And it is
Rico Dowdle.
Jahmyr Gibbs. He's been getting a lot more of the goal line work inside the 5 and 10 yard line compared to last year, which is a really positive sign for Gibbs fantasy holders in particular. Maybe a negative for Montgomery fantasy holders since he doesn't really add much in the receiving game besides that crazy catch he had.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean.
Yeah, besides that. But Gibbs is the guy that's in on passing downs, and Montgomery was really relevant for fantasy because he punched in so many touchdowns. But Gibbs is starting to get more of that work here. And with Dallas being a bottom 10 rush defense in football without Parsons and DeMarcus Lawrence, I think this offensive line is going to feast. Jahmyr Gibbs has 4 touchdowns in 4 games thus far. I think that continues. And also, go ahead, Reagan. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I mean, and honestly, like my biggest reason for backing Dallas is they're at home. If this was on the road, I might feel a little different, but they're just such a different team at home. And I know they lost to the Saints at home, but they're just such.
Saints don't look good right now either.
Yeah. That's the NFL, though. That's the NFL.
It's the NFL. I do have a little something for our boy / girl, whatever you are, Meatball. For the Meatball special, the 2 extra legs to try to unveil the identity, I am adding CeeDee Lamb here. Dallas has no running game. This total is just really high. And for Dallas to keep up with Detroit in what should be a track meet here, it's going to be CeeDee Lamb. So I think CeeDee Lamb's going to score here in this one as well. Could have put him in Big Dogs Parlay, but I like the juice of Lamar Jackson. So we're going to add CeeDee Lamb to the Meatball special.
Cool.
Next, Atlanta, 6-point favorites on the road at Carolina. The over-under 47.5, a pretty high total. I guess Vegas giving a lot of respect to what that Atlanta offense has done recently because Carolina's offense hasn't been firing on all cylinders at all. I know you backed Carolina last week. You backing them again here?
Well, first I want to say it's kind of weird that this kind of strikes out to me like that this is a 4:00 game. Kind of weird.
It is weird.
I know they sometimes will do that, like when it's a big game on the East Coast. Like I'm pretty sure the Jets have a couple games later in the year at 4:25 that are home games, but it's just weird seeing it's in Charlotte, like one of the worst teams last year, or the worst team last year in the Panthers, and it's at 4:25. But regardless,
I guess it's a divisional matchup. Maybe that's what they're thinking.
I guess. I mean, I will take the Panthers to cover here because that Atlanta defense is not good. They have some guys, don't get me wrong, but they're not great. So I expect it to be similar to last week where it is a shootout. It's a track meet. So I'm expecting high scoring game here, but I'll take the 6 points. I mean, Dalton, while he didn't look great last week, I think this is a good spot for him. I'd have full confidence in Deontay, Chuba. You got to play him. I don't know if Brooks is going to play this week. I don't know if they've said either way yet, but if Brooks is out, I mean, Chuba's a smash play
Brooks
yet
is
again.
not going to play. He's not going to play.
So,
they didn't open up his practice window last week, so he's
okay. So
still got
Chuba's a
bit.
smash play again this week. Deontay, play him. I mean, Legette, hopefully he can build off of it some more. And on the Falcons side, I mean, Kirk, if you could pick him up, I would pick him up after last week. I mean, you saw he's fully back. That injury is not holding him back. Go pick him up. Mooney, London, or obviously you're playing London, but Mooney, play him. You could even, Ray McLeod's even flexible. I expect this to be one of the highest scoring games, if not the most high scoring game of the week. So great for fantasy. And I think it comes down to, the Panthers getting a backdoor cover here, but I expect it to be Falcons 35, Panthers, I don't know, like, it's hard to see the Panthers put up 30. I don't know, but they did
Are you going
against the
back on it?
Raiders.
You going back on it? It's the
I might
Raiders
just
though, dude.
I don't know. Maybe Falcons like 28, and then the Panthers like 24 or something with like a backdoor cover, like I don't know. It's just so many points in that home, and it's division game. I don't know. Maybe I don't know. You know what? I'm just trusting my gut. Panthers cover, Falcons win. I don't know how it gets it done. I expect a lot of points. So Andy Dalton will put up points.
I'm going Atlanta to win and cover on the road here. This is definitely a game where I think the running backs will be heavily involved. Atlanta, 4th worst rush yards per game. Carolina, 6th worst rush yards per game. So Chuba Hubbard and Bijan Robinson smash plays here. Hopefully Atlanta runs the ball with Bijan between the tackles a little bit and stops with everything being a fucking outside zone play. Like,
yeah,
God damn it. You can't look at Bijan Robinson. He's too talented to just be using him exclusively in outside zone. It doesn't make any goddamn sense to me, and it's really frustrating. And I hate the Atlanta Falcons. I really do. I thought the problem would be solved when Arthur Smith left, but clearly it's not.
No, I mean, it's obviously an issue. If you drafted Bijan in the first round, you're pissed. Because he hasn't, he's not getting the volume. I mean, yeah, he's been efficient. It's clear the talent's there, but he's not getting the volume for where you drafted him. So he's been a bust for Dynasty of where you drafted him. And yeah, he's been a bust for this year because he's a guy that's averaging like low teens. When you drafted him to be a guy that could put up 20 points, like, yeah, he hasn't really burnt you yet, but he also hasn't given you those boom performances that you're looking for with your first round pick.
Yeah, he's just been hitting his floor, and that's mostly due to the receiving upside that he's provided, but like the touchdowns haven't been there from what you expect. And I was really tempted to put him in my touchdown score parlay this week, but it's just like with Algier getting crunch time touches last week, like I don't know what Atlanta's going to do. It's just really sketchy for me where, yeah, you're still plugging and playing Bijan in fantasy, but for the betting markets, it just seems like an offense I kind of want to stay away from, particularly in the backfield. Even though they should score a lot of points, you just don't know whose week it's going to be, But
yeah,
I'm going to roll with Atlanta here. I just think they're much more talented than Carolina. Coming off a huge win,
certain, yeah.
Vibes are high. I get it's a divisional matchup, and I took Denver as home dogs, but I'm not going to take Carolina here, led by Andy Dalton. I just can't do it.
Yeah, and I will say, obviously last year with Canales as the OC for the Bucs, they had some big games against Atlanta last year, so. He is familiar with kind of that Atlanta defense. So, although it's a different scheme now and stuff, but still, there's a lot of familiarity there between Canales as well. You know what I mean? He's not like a new coach coming in.
That's a good point.
The division.
All right, Sunday Night Football. The Bengals 3.5-point favorites on the road at my New York Football Giants. I will be in attendance, driving back from West Virginia that day, getting home and going straight to the stadium for this one. I expect MetLife to be rowdy here. The over/under 48.5. You backing my boys in blue once again?
Oh. I would have, but knowing that you're going to be gone all weekend, you're going to be tired, you're not going to be bringing your A-game performance of like fandom, I had to go with the Bengals on this. The main, yes, the Giants have been playing hot and they're at home, but 3.5 points is low to me. And it's just, I think the Bengals are just so desperate here. I just find it so hard to believe that they could fall to 1-5. I do think this is another one that's going to be super high scoring because the Bengals offense has been on fire. Giants offense has looked way better. And, the Bengals defense is Swiss cheese. So even if the Giants offense hadn't looked great, I still would have confidence because, everyone looks great against the Bengals defense.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I just got to, if you're going to give me 3.5 points and tell me Joe Burrow, and basically a must win at this point, has to get it done, I'm going to take it. But I do think it's a good performance for the Giants here. I think people will leave this game and be like, yeah, this Giants team is better than expected. I don't think there's any shame if they end up losing this game by a touchdown. I mean, they're already at this point through 5 games exceeding my expectations. I kind of thought Jones was cooked, and he's proving hey, still don't think he's the future for the Giants, but he's a viable player in this league. Somebody will give him that Darnold type contract if the Giants are to cut him loose or, keep him. But I don't know. If you draft a quarterback, I feel like it's kind of weird to keep him there. It's just, you don't want the rookie having a guy like that over his shoulder.
Yeah, and it's the cap hit that comes along with it.
Yes. So regardless, I mean, and I'm excited to see Tyron Tracy again and what he can build off of. And it sounds like Neighbors should be back.
Yes, he should be back.
So It's obviously always weird. You never know. But from all reports, it sounds like he will play. So I expect a massive game from him. I'm assuming you're going to say that's one of your legs because, you're a homer. But regardless, as long as it hits, I don't care. And yeah, but I'm taking the Bengals here, but I do think it will be close and be decided by a touchdown at the end. But I just hope that hook don't fuck me because if it's tied going into the fourth and Evan McPherson's got to make a game-winning field goal, that's going to suck losing on the hook.
Yeah, dude, the hook is definitely in play here. I'm gonna go with my Giants, man. They're coming off a huge, massive upset win in Seattle without Malik Neighbors. Meanwhile, Cincinnati's coming off a heartbreaking loss, and they feel their season slipping away. I do agree with you with the sense that Joe Burrow knows it's go time, and it was go time last week because defense just let him down here. So I expect a high-scoring game. What we've seen from Cincinnati's defense, they're third worst against the run thus far. So Tyrone Tracy, hopefully he gets another bulk of touches here where he can kind of make that impact. But Jones has been dealing.
How's it looking for Singletary? Is he going to play? What are the reports saying?
He was in practice today. He was moving around. So I'd say it's going to come down to Saturday, and they're going to see how he's feeling. But with the way Tracy played last week, it's not like you have to push Singletary, Like, if he's not fully there, like, your Giants are comfortable rolling with Tyrone.
Well, they don't have to push him, but he's going to be pushing himself knowing that, hey, this guy just exploded last week, and now I'm giving him the chance to do it again to just lose my job.
Yeah, the young buck on a rookie deal. Like, he's going to get the nod if it's close.
Yeah.
Certainly. But I'm going to go with the Giants here, man. We haven't seen him score a touchdown yet at MetLife this season. I'm sure that changes Sunday night. It better change Sunday night, God damn it, against this defense. And rounding out Big Dog's touchdown score parlay, we have Malik Neighbors in his return to the lineup. He's got 3 touchdowns in 4 games thus far. Jones has been playing really well recently, protecting the football. He's starting to find his groove downfield after the Dallas game where he was getting a lot of heat for that. He connected with Slayton downfield a few times last week. Well, Slayton was playing in the Neighbors role. Now Neighbors is back. The real dude is back. The Cincinnati defense is terrible. This game has shootout potential. Give me Malik Neighbors to bring us home on Sunday Night Football.
That's like number 3?
That's 4.
No.
That's 4.
Who am I missing? Is it?
Lamar, Neighbors, Gibbs, and Saquon.
Oh, okay. Saquon, I was forgetting.
And then the meatball special, we added CeeDee Lamb. And I'm also going to add to the meatball special Josh Jacobs for Green Bay going against that Arizona run defense. So Big Dogs parlay, Neighbors, Gibbs, Saquon, Lamar. The meatball special add-on Jacobs and CeeDee Lamb. All right, Reagan, let's get into the last game on the slate. We saved the 2 best teams for last, right? The Giants and the Jets. The last 2 games we get to talk about. Buffalo, 2.5-point favorites, though, at your Jets. 40.5-point total. Tell me why your Jets are going to win.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not super confident in it at all. But, as a Jet fan, what kind of fan would I be? I mean, I don't know what to expect. And I don't think any Jet fan that tells you they do is lying. So, there's so much uncertainty going into this game. I mean, the fan in me wants to think, hey, this will fire up the locker room. Everyone's going to be rallying around Jeff Ulbrich, the DC, who's now the intern head coach. And, Rodgers gets, whether or not you could say whatever you think he's involved with, whether or not Salah's gone, no more excuses. And, Rodgers has a good game. And it's just historic Jets-Bills as of recent years where the Jets defense just makes Josh Allen's life hell. And we win in ugly fashion. So, and it gives me some confidence that last year we were able to win when Aaron Rodgers tore his Achilles through 4 plays. So we've beaten the Bills before when we've had things not go our way exactly. So that gives me confidence being at home here. So I'll take the Jets here, not with a lot of confidence. But I will say, and I've said it yesterday, it's a must-win for both teams because if the Jets fall to 2-4, you're 2 games back of Buffalo in the division with them having the head-to-head. And then the Bills, if you fall to 3-3 and lose, not only are you giving the Jets confidence, a team that you could have just ripped their heart out and been like, all right, see ya, and just ran away with the division. You go to 3-3, you're now losers of 3 straight, and you are now tied for the division with not having the head-to-head over the Jets. So I think a lot's in play here for both teams, and it's really a must-win for both teams. I mean, I can't see ending well if either team is to lose, especially because, you know, both teams have tough matchups after that and tough schedules coming up after that for a stretch, you know? So
Absolutely. I'm rolling with Buffalo here. I will say for the Jets, if they are going to win this game, Rodgers was on McAfee today and he said, look, like if I played better on Sunday, maybe Robert Saleh doesn't get fired. And he said he had a great relationship with Robert Saleh and he had no skin in the game in getting him fired. So I'll believe him at his face value for that. But if they're going to win this game, Rodgers, yes, he has to play better, which he knows he does. But two, Buffalo is the 7th worst rushing defense in football so far this year. The run game has to get on track for the Jets here if they're going to win. Breece Hall can't have 8 carries for 25 yards. You know what I mean? It's got to be Breece Hall, 15 plus carries, pushing 100 yards, if not over 100 yards. That's just what we've come to expect from Breece Hall, from what we've seen when he was playing in bad offenses with bad offensive lines. So I don't know what's going on with the scheme here, but this running game has to get going to protect Aaron Rodgers. They have to have more creativity in their offense. I just don't think they're going to – it's just hard for me to put my faith in the Jets. You fire your coach mid-season. Like that week, yeah, they might rally behind Ulbrich, but it's just really difficult for me to back him here against this Buffalo team that, yeah, they're coming off back-to-back losses, but it's against Baltimore and Houston, man. Those are 2 playoff teams, really good teams. And Allen and co will understand the importance of this game in the division race where they can really start to separate themselves because Miami is just reeling right now. New England has no chance. So if you can get a win here over the Jets, build a 2-game cushion with the tiebreaker, it'd be huge for the outlook of the season. So I'm going to back Buffalo here to get it done in a low-scoring, grinded-out type of game, which it's going to be James Cook and Josh Allen. It's going to be on the other side, Breece Hall. But the Bills get it done in the end.
that's a mistake on your part, pal.
Yeah, we could have made the big bet of the week, but you just said you're not confident in your team, so.
Whoa. Yeah, no. I don't think that's fair to make me put my team on the line. I don't think you would have wanted – would you have done the Giants and the Bengals?
Yeah, I would have.
Oh, okay.
I have confidence in Daniel Jones and Malik Neighbors.
All right, well, I'm done. How confident are you?
Well, I mean, I have confidence in the quarterback that's been the best New York quarterback so far this year compared to Aaron Rodgers, so.
Well, I mean, I'd say Josh Allen's probably better, but
New York City, not the New Jersey area. The best quarterback playing in New Jersey.
We can switch it. You want to switch it up? We'll take money line straight up if you're so confident.
Nah, dude, come on.
Oh, so not confident in the win, guy.
We already agreed. Also, I'm not going to give you. I'm not going to give you 3.5 points either. That's bullshit, bro. Stop trying to pull that one because you're down 4-1 in the season series.
I know. I mean, I'm just saying. I'm just honest. If you're a confident man, put your balls on the line, pal.
Hey, my balls are always on the line.
Small kahunas.
If you're still listening, please make sure to like and subscribe. We appreciate it on all platforms, and be on the lookout. Crew Next coming soon.
Yes. Yeah. No. Well said. The Crew Necks are coming soon. We're super excited. I can't wait to see what 4 colors we end up deciding on. We've been going back and forth with our clothing company that helps us out, but we're going to have that out hopefully later this week, if not early next week. Maybe some prices for you guys as well, and we'll get that rolling. You want to be comfy cozy, as Drock says, for the winter season.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, we will see you guys next week. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. And make sure, like Colin said, drop a sub.